TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. It has been revealed that Israel and the Palestinian Authority coordinate with Gazan clans operating against Islamist Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Germany warns Israel against asserting its sovereignty over Judea and Samaria. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar stresses that the last IAEA reports clearly prove that Iran is racing toward a nuclear weapon. Israel continues to deepen its operational achievements throughout the Gaza Strip. Moreover, classified information that was leaked by Parliament member Avigdor Lieberman yesterday revealed that Israel's security agency Shin Bet operated with local Palestinian militias that proactively oppose Hamas in the southern Gaza Strip in close coordination with the leadership of the Palestinian Authority and a separate, undisclosed Arab country. It is important to know that Lieberman leaked the information after it was unveiled in a classified session of the Intelligence Subcommittee of the Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee that the man heading the southern militia, Yasser Abu Shabab, a member of the Tarabin tribe, formerly operated as a smuggler of Daesh Wilayat Sina, or the Islamic State in the northern Sinai Peninsula district, and therefore Lieberman was evidently under the impression that Prime Minister Netanyahu's approval of the ISA to exploit Yasser Abu Shabab's animosity of Hamas would somehow politically taint the Israeli leader.
Lieberman published the secret security information for political gain. Your comment? It is very grave. Because what did Lieberman leak? What did he leak and publish? That with the advice of security forces, we have operated clans in Gaza who oppose Hamas. What's wrong with that? It is only good. It only saves IDF soldiers' lives. And publishing this is benefiting only Hamas.
It is important to highlight, according to senior intelligence sources familiar with arrangements made with Yasser al-Shabab and his between 300 to 400 strong militia, Israel merely grants it limited areas to operate in, particularly with regard to matters of protecting aid distribution in the eastern territory of the town of Rafah, while al-Shabaab himself maintains close coordination with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas's religious advisor, Qadi Mahmoud Habash, and Colonel Baha Ba'alusha, who holds the Hamas portfolio in the Palestinian General Intelligence Apparatus. Meanwhile, Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar concluded a working visit to Berlin, where he met with German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier, among other senior German officials, to include his counterpart, Federal Foreign Minister Johann Vadeful, following a lengthy work meeting with the latter, during which the top diplomats of both Berlin and Jerusalem discussed a long list of issues of bilateral importance. Minister Sa'ar highlighted the re-emergence of anti-Semitism, which is soaring globally, especially in Europe.
80 years after the Holocaust, anti-Semitism, unfortunately, has spread across the world, especially in Europe. 80 years after the Holocaust, the Jewish state is under an open threat to eliminate it. Hamas and the Houthis, Hezbollah, and above all, Iran, openly act to eliminate us. Yet, there are those who seek to turn the victim into the aggressor. Let me be clear. Hamas is the one solely responsible for the beginning of this war and also for its continuation. Hamas initiated this war. Only Hamas is responsible for the suffering of both Israelis and Palestinians.
The Israeli foreign minister continued by stressing that in contrast to the Islamist Hamas, which rejected the latest proposal by U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, Jerusalem immediately agreed to the American proposal for a ceasefire in exchange for the release of a number of hostages.
Israel said yes to Special Envoy Steve Witkoff's proposal for a hostage deal 19 days ago. Unfortunately, Hamas rejected it. I say it here in the clearest possible terms. Israel is serious in our will and our intent to achieve a deal that will lead to a ceasefire and will address all the issues we discussed in our meetings. I expect all those who value these goals, and of course I know Germany's position, to contribute to achieving them and to exert pressure on Hamas through the channels that influence it. But pressure on Israel, attacks, statements, decisions against Israel, threatening Israel with sanctions, as some of other European countries are doing, not only will not help this effort, it will cause Hamas to harden its stance.
The German foreign minister, for his part, urged Israel to increase the flow of humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip, stressing the plight of the civilian population in Gaza, to which Minister Sa'ar responded by urging his counterpart to give the American aid distribution centers a chance.
It's the second week in which Israel, facilitating the American initiative, an international fund, is allocating aid directly to the people of Gaza, not through Hamas. And within 1 week, 7 million meals had already been distributed to the people in Gaza. The new system does not allow Hamas to take advantage of the aid. We believe that expanding it will help shorten the war. It will hurt Hamas' economy. It will hurt its stronghold over the people of Gaza. We already see, through public protests in Gaza, we see the people begin to express their desire to see the end of Hamas' cruel rule over Gaza. We have not seen such an images in the past. We ask our German friends to give an opportunity for this effort to succeed, and this is my understanding of the situation, because this effort has the potential to release the Palestinian population from the chokehold of Hamas and to enable the end of this war.
Berlin's top diplomat also seized the opportunity to emphasize Germany's concerns over voices within Jerusalem's government that are promoting the assertion of sovereignty over the so-called West Bank districts of Judea and Samaria, emphasizing his country's continued support for a two-state solution.
Dass einige Stimmen in der israelischen Politik, auch im Kabinett,
The fact that some voices in Israeli politics, including in the cabinet, are also calling for the annexation of the West Bank is not a majority opinion, but it creates considerable reputational risks for Israel. It costs trust in the government among its neighbors, allies, and closest friends. I am convinced that a two-state solution is the only realistic prospect for Israelis and Palestinians to live side by side in security and dignity in the future, and the only chance for sustainable peace in the region. It is therefore also clear to us that this process must be concluded in negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians before we can recognize a Palestinian state.
Bevor wir einen Staat Palästina anerkennen können.
The Israeli foreign minister also utilized the public stage in Germany to highlight Israel's deep-rooted concerns over Iran's race to a nuclear weapon, underscoring an IAEA report which raised the alarm over Tehran's nuclear program.
On Saturday, the IAEA issued a grave report on Iran's nuclear program. It presents a stark picture. Despite countless warnings by the international community, Iran is totally determined to complete its nuclear weapons program. It reinforces what Israel has said for years. The purpose of Iran's nuclear program is not peaceful. This is clear from the alarming scope of Iran's uranium enrichment activity. This scope exists only in countries actively pursuing nuclear weapons. It has no civilian justification. It indicates clearly Iran remains in non-compliance of its fundamental commitments and obligations under the Non-Proliferation Treaty. It continues to withhold cooperation from IAEA inspectors. Following this report, I call on the international community to act now to stop Iran.
It is important to know that Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, during an address last night, claimed that the only reason the United States under President Trump was engaging in diplomacy with Iran was due to the fact that Washington's maximum pressure campaign wasn't yielding any results.
Why do you think they are negotiating with us? Because they were disappointed that their cruel sanctions would not bring the Iranian people and the Iranian government to their knees. If they were sure that they could bring us to our knees, they would not negotiate. They would have told themselves that we would wait and in a few months they would surrender and move forward. But they saw that this would not happen because of the strength of the Iranian people.
The remarks by the Iranian top diplomat, who also has the Ayatollah regime's nuclear negotiating team, essentially twists the facts, since the only reason the Iranians decided to engage in negotiations with the US is to desperately try to avoid conflict with the far superior United States, along with rising domestic pressure due to President Trump's decision to enforce the stringent sanctions regime that has been imposed on the Islamic Republic. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News, and a special thank you to all of TV7 Israel's dedicated supporters, as today we mark episode 3,500 of TV7 Israel News. We couldn't have done it without our dedicated team here in Jerusalem and supporters from across the globe, since TV7 Israel is a non-profit ministry with all of our productions exclusively donation-based. I'd like to also immediately seize this opportunity to call on you. If you're blessed by the content of our programs, your donation essentially helps us cover our production costs. So you can donate via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Moreover, I'd like to encourage you, as ever, pray for the hostages who've endured 609 days by now in Hamas captivity, and pray also for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you a Shabbat Shalom Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.